expand our minds, and make us all think. How are you guys all doing this grand morning? It is great and grand to be here, and it doesn't matter what time it is that you're watching here. Time's a construct that we created. You were meant to be here for you to remember. We're always here to shake the system, expand our minds, and make us all think. So, today we want to talk about the illusion of division. And first of all, you were not born divided, okay? You were taught to divide. And that teaching began before you even had a language for it. Let me put this into some construct for you. Basically, from the moment you entered this world, everything around you was organized into categories. Male and female, and right and wrongs, strong and weak, and success and failure, love and fear, and you didn't choose this framework. You inherited it. You walked right smack into it, just like that. And at first it seems harmless, even necessary, because the human brain is designed to divide. Neuroscience shows us that the brain functions through contrast, and it identifies edges, differences, distinctions. It separates figures from backgrounds so it can navigate the world. And this is how you survive. But survival is not the same as truth, because what the brain divided for, function, consciousness, never actually separated. And this is where distortion begins. You were trained to live as if division is reality, and when in fact it is only perception. And over time you didn't just see division, you became it. You started to feel like you were split inside. One part of you wants to move forward, another part wants to, rest, and one part wants structure, discipline, direction, and another part wants peace, surrender, and stillness. And instead of recognizing these as movements within one unified intelligence, you experience them as conflict. You say, I don't know which one I should be. But the question itself is built on illusion, because there are not two of you. There never were. I mean, let's slow this down and really look at it. In psychology, there's a concept called splitting. And it's defense mechanisms where the mind organizes reality into opposites to create a sense of control. Something is either good or bad, safe or dangerous, loved or rejection. And this helps a child make sense of a complex world. But as that child grows, if this pattern remains unconscious, it becomes identity. See, you don't just use division to understand reality. You begin to believe reality is divided. And more dangerously, you believe you are divided. Now let's bring this in real life examples. If you think about how people approach productivity, you've been taught there are two states. Either you are productive, focused, and disciplined, or you are lazy, unmotivated, and wasting time. So what happens? When you're working, you feel pressure. And when you're resisting, you feel guilt, because you believe these two states are in opposites. But in reality, they are part of one cycle. See, biologically, your nervous system actually requires both activation and restoration. Action and rest, they're not enemies. They are partners. And when you divide them, you suffer. When you see their unity, intelligence emerges. Let's go a little deeper. See, even what you call masculine and feminine has been misunderstood. See, we've been taught to see them as two forces, two energies. Hello, two identities. And then you're told your job is to balance them. But balance still assumes separation, does it not? Balance says there are two things and I must manage them both. But the monad, the unified source and all existence, understanding, does not balance itself. It is not made of parts. Creation, God, what we call God, it is not made of parts. It does not negotiate between opposites. It simply is whole. So what these masculine and feminine qualities are really is they are conceptual labels placed onto movement of one field. I start at 8 a.m. Clarity, direction, structure, protection, flow, receptivity, openness, nurturing. These are not separate energies. They are expressions of one intelligence moving in different ways depending on context. So the movement, you label, them as separate. You create an internal split. And then you spend your life trying to heal a division that was never real. See, even spirituality reinforces this. Step into your divine masculine, heal your divine feminine. But what if the very language is a trap in its first place? Because now you are identifying with parts again, right? You're performing archetypes. And performance is not truth. And let's bring the science again. The quantum physics light behaves as both particles and a wave, two completely different properties. And for a long time, scientists argued which one is it? Is it the particle or is it the wave? But the deeper discovery was this. It is not either. And it is not both as two separate things. It is one phenomenon appearing differently depending on how it is observed. The division was never in the light. You see, it was in the way it was being measured, and the same is true for you. See, the division is not in your nature. It is in the lens through which you're perceiving yourself. So let's take this even deeper into your emotional experiences. You've been taught that fear and love are opposites. But that you must move away from fear and towards love. But if you look at the body, at the nervous system, both fear and love arise from activation. I don't share my personal life on here. Your heart rate increases and your body becomes alert. Energy moves. And the difference is not in the energy itself, it is in the interpretation. See, fear is energy met with resistance. Love is the same energy met with openness. So even fear and love were never separate, only labeled differently. Now, let's zoom out and look at the world, because this division is not just internal, it is systematic. Everything around you is designed to reinforce separation. Politics divides you into sides. Culture divides you into identities. Religion divides truth into competing doctrines. And even within spirituality, there are camps, systems, heresies, and labels. And this teaching says this, that teaching says that this path is right, this path is wrong. And what happens? You begin to see reality as fragments, like truth is scattered across different kingdoms or something. But the monad asks different questions. The monad says, who is the one aware of all these distinctions? Who is the one in which all these perspectives arise? Because what awareness is not divided. That awareness is whole. And now let's bring a Gnostic's language, but clarify it. Sophia often describes as wisdom. And people will see that as a separate entity, a separate being. And logos is divine order or structure. But these were never meant to be separate beings. They are not characters in a story either. They are descriptions of one movement, wisdom and structure, love and order, depth and expression. And when you separate them, you distort them. Wisdom without structure becomes chaos. Structure without wisdom becomes rigidity. But together they are intelligence, living intelligence. And this is what awaken begins to reveal, is actually what you thought were opposites are actually inseparable. That surrender is not passive, it is intelligence. And that structure is not rigid, it can be loving. That action can arise from stillness, and that stillness can be full of movement. And this is what Christ consciousness points towards. Not a divided morality, not a good versus evil, but a unified state of being where discernment and compassion, clarity and love move together as one. And this is a sacred union, but not as two becoming one. See, as a realization that there were never two. Now feel this directly, right now within you. I'm going to pay attention to that. And within that awareness, thoughts arise, sensations arise, emotions arise. And sometimes they feel active. Sometimes they feel still. Sometimes they feel clear and sometimes they feel confused, but the awareness itself, it is divided. Or is it one continuous field in which all of this appears? This is the return. Not becoming something new, but seeing through what was never true, and you were never meant to live as a divided being. You were never meant to choose between parts of yourself. You were never meant to become identity. You were conditioned into fragmentation and then taught to heal through more fragmentation, through labels, through roles, through archetypes. But all of that is performance. And the more you perform, the further you move from what is real. So what is the shift? It is not reject the world. It is not reject language or concept. It is to see through them, to use them without becoming them, to recognize that all distinctions are tools, not truths. And when this becomes clear, something changes. The internal conflict begins to dissolve and you stop asking, which side should I be? And instead, you begin to move as one. Action happens when it is needed. Rest happens when it is needed. Clarity arises. Love flows. Structure forms. Surrender deepens. Not as a separate choices, but as one seamless movement. And this is the monad expressing itself. This is the logos breathing through you. Not divided. Not categorized. Not performed, but lived. And when you live this way, you no longer feel like you are trying to become whole. You realize you never stopped being whole. And the division was learned. The unity, what you are. The invitation is simple. Stop organizing your life through opposites. Stop trying to fix yourself through parts. Stop identifying with labels that fragment your being. And return, not to balance between two, but to the center where two were never real. Where everything arises as one movement, one intelligence, one awareness, one flame. That is what you are. That's what you are. I don't even put any focus on any of those things, to be honest. That's not why I do this. Do you know how many people these teachings have reached, whether numbers, whether anything, whether any of that? A lot. Hundreds, even thousands. And to me, that's what matters. Because this is about us. Awakening to the truth of our existence. This is about stopping the chaos, the divide in the world. It's about remembering. So it don't matter to me. None of that. It's not why I do it. When you know, you know. Peace and love. We'll see you guys.